Hello, this is Virtual the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Recently, I had this game where I had the black pieces that switched that against my Canadian friend, where they led with the Italian game 2 knights open variation. And I didn't realize just how good, just how strong the 2 knights Italian open was. Let's see what I mean. So look, they led with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. So that's the Italian game. Against the Italian game, I usually played a 2 knights defense. And now the open, which is d4. Now, here we should capture with the pawn. And the interesting thing here is you can transpose to this position from the Scotch game, Scotch Gambit. So in a Scotch game, you would push that pawn, and after the capture, you develop the bishop as the gambit. And if we then now develop knight to f6, this is a named position in the Scotch Gambit. It's the Dubois Reti Defense. This is probably the best move for black. Best move for white is now to push, and the move to know for black is now immediate d5, counterattacking the bishop. I've studied this before, which is why I knew this sequence, but this was the end pretty much of my theoretical knowledge. Best move for white is now bishop to b5, pinning the knight to the king. And here it took me almost a couple of minutes to find the next move. I did find the next move, which was the best move, a book move, which is a backward move of the knight unpinning the knight. Now here, white decides to short castle, and here I make my first mistake. The first move, which was not book, which is bishop to c5. I thought this was a logical move, defending that pawn on d4. Stockfish disagrees. Stockfish says that the best move is, here we go, to e7. Now we will see why this is the best move a little later on, but in this position, the very interesting thing is that the position closes in, particularly for black. Black pretty much only has one move for the next couple of moves, which is good, which maintains equality. It's pretty much 0-0-0. Well, white has a bit more latitude. Here, if black sort of doesn't follow the path, white gains a substantial advantage. And this is partly why I think the 2 knights Italian open, or the Scotch Gambit, is a very good opening for white. Here, the best move for white is to capture. We need to, of course, capture back with the pawn. White will now capture that pawn. And the thing to know here, actually, is that the best move is another backwards knight move to b8 to defend that pawn. Quite hard to see. Now, black can take that pawn back to defend, but it's actually not as good as knight back to b8. Now after this, if black navigates this, then it opens back up again. So both white and black has any number of good moves, which mostly maintains equality, but there's that crunch. There's where those lines so narrow down to a single pathway for black, and if black doesn't find it, white gains an advantage. This makes it, I think, a very strong opening for white. Now, back to where we were before. I didn't see that. I played a bishop to c5. They captures, that made sense, captures back, and now bishop to g5, attacking the queen. And the queen here can't escape. So the only move is to bring the bishop back. And so you can understand why bishop to e7 is best, because it went out and back, I've lost a point of tempo. White now plays a literal brilliant move, which is knight captures pawn on d5. Stockfish calls this a brilliancy. You think, look, haven't they just hung their bishop? Well, if you take the bishop, the knight now captures the pawn on c6, and the queen is trapped. Black queen, nowhere to go. Absolute brilliant maneuver. You know, white, I think, either saw this in game, which is amazing, or maybe they already knew it already. And you notice they're about 1300, I'm in the 1400s. Very strong opening for white. Now, I did manage to see this in game. I realized that was a problem, so I decided to play knight captures to defend. You can see Stockfish thinks that this move, bishop to b7, is a little bit better. That was a mistake, and in fact, it's plus 4.5. White is just so strong here. They take, I take back, and now, there's this powerful pin. I'm in trouble here because, if they take, this knight is pinned to the queen. So here I decide to defend that pawn, but now the queen joins the attack, and I'm in serious, serious trouble. Now, here I thought, white can basically force capture my knight. There's pretty much not really anything I can do. Probably I could short castle or maybe castle the other way, then captures, and they can force capture it. And so here I thought for quite a while, and then I found a move that is a bluff, completely audacious. It's a bad move, possibly a blunder, definitely an error, but I thought that maybe white wouldn't see the correct response. What I found was knight to f3 with check. So here, the vision, what you might see is that queen now has an attack on the rook, and then it's back rank mate. So it looks very scary for white. It looks like, oh my God, I need to do something. However, if they sort of looked at this carefully, they would realize that they have 5 possible moves. So they have to do something about the check. So they can either move the king out of the way to one of these 2 squares. Now, those moves are obviously bad because mate. That doesn't work. Now, the check can also be resolved by capturing the checking piece. So it can be captured by the pawn, can be captured by the queen, and it can be captured by the knight. So 3 different pieces are attacking my knight. Now, if the queen captures, that doesn't resolve the issue because it's mate. If the pawn captures, well, yes, they do get rid of mate, but that's a pretty major concession because firstly they lose material and the defense around their king is completely exposed. However, if they capture with the knight also defends the e1 square. That is no longer available. And I saw that, and this is why I knew that this move was a bluff. It doesn't work, but it requires white to find this move. This move is winning. This move, it gets them out of checkmate, but it's pretty bad. Or other possible legal moves is mate in 1. Unfortunately for my opponent with the white pieces, they did not find this backwards knight move because it is tricky, because not only do you have to take it, you have to have the vision to see that you now also guard e1, an order of abstraction. They took my knight with the pawn. That is a blunder. It goes from plus 5.5 to minus 8.6, almost minus 9. I was very happy. Queen captures with check. King now forced to move. I now, along castles, get my king out of danger. And now, there's a little bit of shuffling. I'm trying to maneuver, maybe there's something there. Maybe I can do something. That was a good move. We've discovered attack on the queen, and the queen doesn't have any moves here, which makes sense because these knights defend pretty much all these squares. And so I bring my queen all the way back. Perfectly fine. They now develop their rook. That's fine. I push, and my goal here is to force a trade in queens. If I win their queen, I'm winning. There's no possibility of any real danger from white. They didn't quite see that. They took, now there's a force of queens. Stockfish didn't like this because Stockfish can actually see potentially a better move, where I don't have to trade queens, but trading queens makes it easy. And more than that, after the queen trade, I open up the H file. Very good for my connected rooks. So captures. They have to, they sort of move their knight out of the way because it was being attacked, but they found the wrong move. As you can see, knight here was the right move because I had to defend that d1 square. Similar tactic which I didn't see before, because now I have check, discovered attack on the rook, captures, captures. Super winning. Now here, I potentially have a very winning sort of combination, basically a ladder mate. I didn't quite see that initially, so I gave a check first, and at this point I went, oh yes, that's a check. But then I actually mouse slipped. I played rook to h1. I thought, oh, look, as long as I can get my rook back here, I'll be winning. They give a check here. What are they going to do? If they don't see, if they move their knight anywhere, and they did, mate. Good game, GG. My big takeaway from this game is to consider playing the 2 knights open if you are an Italian game player. It is a very strong line. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.